my inspection book. I can't hear anything. Hey, hey, you're talking, bro.
Share a quick video with you guys regarding mental health in the childcare field. And then we will be joined by the rest of the board this afternoon regarding just a quick discussion regarding mental health in the childcare field.
The rituals of disability may have acted as the inspiration for
It is always okay to not be
talk
okay.
about concussion.
Thank you. When I was a kid, my mom and I made this deal. I was allowed to take 3 mental health rest days every semester as long as I continued to do well in school. This was because I started my mental health journey when I was only 6 years old. I was always what my grade school teachers would call a worrier, but later on we found out that I have trauma-induced anxiety and clinical depression. This made growing up pretty hard. I was worried about a lot of things that other kids weren't, and school got really overwhelming sometimes. This resulted in a lot of breakdowns, panic attacks. Sometimes I was super productive, and other days I couldn't get anything done. This was all happening during a time when mental health wasn't being talked about as much as it is now, especially youth mental health. Some semesters I used all of those rest days to the fullest. Others, I didn't need any at all. But the fact that they were always an option is what kept me a happy, healthy, and successful student. Now I'm using those skills that I learned as a kid to help other students with mental health challenges. I'm here today to offer you some insight into the world of teenage mental health. What's going on? How did we get here? And what can we do? But first, you need to understand that while not everyone has a diagnosed mental illness like I do, absolutely everyone, all of you have mental health. All of us have a brain that needs to be cared for in similar ways that we care for our physical well being. Our head and our body are connected by much more than just our neck, after all. Mental illness even manifests itself in some physical ways, such as nausea, headaches, fatigue, and shortness of breath. So, since mental health affects all of us, shouldn't we be coming up with solutions that are accessible to all of us? That brings me to my second part of my story. When I was in high school, I had gotten pretty good at managing my own mental health. I was a successful student, and I was president of the Oregon Association of Student Councils. But it was around this time that I began to realize mental health was a much bigger problem than just for me personally. Unfortunately, my hometown was touched by multiple suicides during my first year in high school. I saw those tragedies shake our entire community. And as the president of a statewide group, I began hearing more and more stories from students where this had also happened in their town. So in 2018, at our annual summer camp, we held a forum with about 100 high school students to discuss teenage mental health. What could we do? We approached this conversation with an enormous amount of empathy and honesty, and the results were astounding. What struck me the most was that every single one of my peers had a story about a mental health crisis in their school, no matter if they were from a tiny town in Eastern Oregon or the very heart of Portland. This was happening everywhere. We even did some research and we found out that suicide is the second leading cause of death for youth ages 10 to 24 in Oregon. The second leading cause. We knew we had to do something. So over the next few months, we made a committee called the Students for a Healthy Oregon, and we set out to end the stigma against mental health. We also wanted to prioritize mental health in schools. With the help of some lobbyists and a few mental health professionals, we put forth House Bill 2191. This bill allows students to take mental health days off from school the same way you would a physical health day. Because oftentimes that day off is the difference between feeling a whole lot better and a whole lot worse. Kind of like those days my mom gave me when I was younger. So over the next few months, we lobbied and researched and campaigned for our bill, and in June of 2019, it was finally signed into law. This was a groundbreaking moment for Oregon students. Here's an example of how this is playing out now. Let's say a student is having a really hard month. They're overwhelmed, overworked, they're falling behind in school, and they know they need help. Maybe they've never talked about mental health with their parents before, but now they have a law on their side to help initiate that conversation. The parent still needs to be the one to call the school and excuse the absence, so it's not like it's a free pass for the kids. But most importantly, now the school has that absence recorded as a mental health day, so they can keep track of just how many students take how many mental health days. If a student takes too many, they'll be referred to the school counselor for a check-in. This is important because we can catch students who are struggling before it's too late. One of the main things we heard at that forum in 2018 is that oftentimes stepping forward and getting help is the hardest step. We're hoping that this law can help with that. This not only will start teaching kids young how to take care of themselves and practice self-care and stress management, but it could also literally save lives. Now students from multiple other states are also trying to pass these laws. I'm currently working with students in both California and Colorado to do the same because we believe that students everywhere deserve a chance to feel better. Aside from all of the practical reasons and technicalities, House Bill 2191 is really special because of the core concept behind it, that physical and mental health are equal and should be treated as such. In fact, they're connected. Take healthcare, for example. Think about CPR. If you were put in a situation where you had to administer CPR, would you know at least a little bit of what to do? Think to yourself. Most likely, yes, because CPR trainings are offered in most schools, workplaces, and even online. We even have songs that go with it. But how about mental health care? I know I was trained in CPR in my 7th grade health class. What if I was trained in 7th grade how to manage my mental health or how to respond to a mental health crisis? I'd love to see a world where each of us has a toolkit of skills to help a friend, coworker, family member, or even a stranger going through a mental health crisis. And these resources should be especially available in schools because that's where students are struggling the most. The other concept that I sincerely hope you take with you today is that it is always okay to not be okay, and it is always okay to take a break. It doesn't have to be a whole day. Sometimes that's not realistic, but it can be a few moments here and there to check in with yourself. Think of life like a long-distance race. If you sprint in the very beginning, you're going to get burnt out. You may even hurt yourself from pushing too hard. But if you pace yourself, if you take it slow sometimes intentionally, and you push yourself other times, you are sure to be way more successful. So please, look after each other. Look after the kids and teens in your life, especially the ones that look like they have it all together. Mental health challenges are not going away, but as a society, we can learn how to manage them by looking after one another. And look after yourself too. As my mom would say, once in a while, take a break. Thank you.
That was a powerful, powerful video, in my estimation. That young lady, what she did, what she's doing. I believe she's in the state of Oregon, if my memory serves me correctly from the video. That's something powerful that she's doing, and I want to applaud her for her effort to address the need in her age and demographic, and honestly, in the entire school system. So I give her hats off. Um, I guess the question becomes, to the group, mental health on that level, on the school and collegiate level. It's been there on the collegiate level. A lot of people didn't realize it, but that was something that if you attended college, you know that you could take mental health days and mental health breaks for semesters, and it not count against you, especially when there was a tragedy that occurred on campus with a roommate or someone with whom you were close with, like a teammate or something. But for it to be able to come down to the grade school level, I think is powerful. And then I guess that begs the conversation, since we are change agents, do we need to have the discussion and possibly look at doing mental health days for our children in our preschool systems? Because they're 5 years, and we're pretty much talking about those children that are pre-K, getting ready to go to school, to what my children call big school. Do you think that's a worthwhile topic, for mental health, the little one? Anyone can answer.
I would definitely agree, because there are so many external stressors outside of just being in childcare. Anytime that I explain the mental health piece, I always tell my parents, I'm like, hey, when they come to childcare, it's like all of the children's needs are pretty much, for the majority part, is being met. They're being educated. There's no issues with getting food. Our friends come. They're playing nice. All of the interactions are engaging with caregivers, with friends. But when they go home, there's so many things that will affect the child overall. And so we have to make sure that we're aware of what our children are going through each and every day. I was just watching a video with Dr. Phil, and a mom had said something about her child. She came home and she said her energy was off, and it was a very sad story because the child ended up committing suicide in the home, just because of all of the bullying that happened online. Even though mom did her best to take away all of those electronics, phones, game systems, iPads, all of that, moms just felt like that, she didn't do enough to protect her child. So we always have to just make sure we seem like we're imposing, but we're really protecting our young ones. Again, like I said, childcare is sort of like this safe haven. They're happy. They're protected from what's going on outside. Our people are trained to make sure that our children are, we're aware of our children's emotions, but we also have to be aware that there are things that may be out of our control, and knowing a little extra support is going to go a long way.
And guys, I think let me just say that first of all, that video was really good. I hope that bill is passed in other states as well, because it's so needed in today's society. But I think the one thing that I've realized is it's hard for an adult to identify or notice burnout if they themselves are burnt out. It's very hard for them to pick up on a child, a student having a different, set of behaviors or a different mood if they themselves have been experiencing some things that look like, feel like, sound like burnout. So I think I remember we had talked about this before for this week, that we were trying to see what does burnout look like for our staff and our team members, right?
Right.
Productivity definitely falls off, but your team. I mean, we spend an extended amount of time around people that are helping run operations. And so, if you've been around a staff, you've had a staff member employed for the last 5, 6 years, or just an extended period of time. It could be the last 6 months, and you'll begin to pick up on that person. Oh, she's having a good day. She's not having she's having a bad day. She's having an okay day. Such and such may be going on in the background, but productivity definitely is affected. But also the interactions with the children, they may not be positive interactions at all. And so we have to be aware of, okay, look, what processes do we have in place, what systems do we have in place in order to relieve our staff members that are going through some stuff. And I'm going to just say some stuff because it can get really, really murky, trying to figure out, okay, what is the right fix for this situation? Because everybody's an individual. Everybody's situation is different, just like with any other, the children that come through our doors. But children, I mean, our staff members come from all different types of backgrounds as well. So, what are those strategies that we're going to put in place to make sure that we're meeting the needs and expectations of our staff? I can say a little bit about that as well. There's a lot of trends in the marketplace right now. Most people are choosing jobs to where they're like, okay, well, what systems do you have in place to, if I do need a day off because I've got a lot going on at home, or I got some stuff happen with my child and I have to go meet those needs, and maybe an existential need that needs to be met. So I think we need to really keep talking about that, making it a topic of conversation. Just because the mask wearing piece is over with COVID, there's a lot of problems that we pulling up layer by layer. They were already problems to begin with prior to COVID, and they have only been exasperated since then.
Mm, that's true. That's true.
Yeah.
Yeah, I agree. What I have realized is that it's not only we it's the children, the staff, it's us as the owners, and also our children's parents. Um, so it's like we have to be able to recognize it and to be able to give support and resources for all for all aspects that are being touched. I know one of the things I have when I was interviewing a number of young adults to become an assistant teacher here, a lot of the things that was being said in the interview process was they were reaching out and letting me know that, okay, I deal with this mental illness, I deal with that. And that really shocked me because me coming from the generation and era that I came from, that was, you didn't just openly, disclose that. So I had to start asking questions to see what can I do as the employer to help them. So one of the things that I ended up doing was making sure that as you said, you have to put something in place for them to have a mental health day, but also the work schedule. A lot of people are getting away from these 9 to 5 work schedules, Monday through Friday. So I had to, I offer so many hours a week, and I allow the people who work for me to have at least one day off a week, and also doing other things, as in when I do appreciation, showing them appreciation, I give them things like a spa day or something like that to help them to understand that it doesn't have to be stressful, even though working with children can be pretty stressful at times. We just have to be in tune to everyone, not only our children, our staff, their parents, but ourselves as well, paying attention to our own cues and triggers when it comes to that. So there's a lot. Like I said, I when it comes to children, even when it comes to the children, I'm getting a number of parents who are calling me, and that's their main concern. They're saying that the previous child care center, their child was suffering from forms of anxiety and things like that. So it's become really important for us to make sure that we address that in our child care programs.
Mm, yeah. Yeah. So I know that we have been on this topic all month. A lot of places you've seen online people discussing burnout, depression, mental health. And so I wanted to know exactly what job burnout was. And I'm going to read this, guys, and you let me know if you agree with it or not. So when I looked up what exactly job specific burnout was, there is a book called Burnout: The High Cost of a High Achiever. And the author describes burnout as the extinction of motivation or incentive, especially where one's devotion to a cause or relationship fails to produce the desired results. So pretty much all of your motivation, everything you thought you would receive from doing this specific job has gone out the window. You're not getting the desired results you have. So your feeling of motivation, your feeling of dedication, your feeling of any type of incentives is now extinct. It's like not existent because it's just not there anymore. Do you think, or do you guys agree that we see that currently in childcare? And I definitely want to ask, do we think there is a difference in the way men show burnout versus women showing burnout?
Yeah, I agree that we're seeing this at an alarming rate, and not just with the caregivers themselves. We're talking about from the top down, which is owners, CEOs, executive staff of those franchise childcare centers. So again, we're seeing that here in Kentucky. I know we're losing like at least 5 to 10 programs a month, and the list just keeps rolling because it's like, who are we handing this off to? There's nobody to come in and replace the individuals that had the motivation, had the dedication, was committed to the cause, wanted to, even when your entire team doesn't show up, I'm still going to be here to show up each and every day. That is completely obliterated. Like it's obliterated. It's over. So there are programs that are in place to kind of combat that, but again, we've got some work to do. Secondly, yes, men most definitely, well, for my expertise, show burnout differently. I had to clarify because
You have time in
I'm
that.
not a man.
It's like, wait a minute, for my expertise.
I'm not a man, so just from my expertise, um, based off my observations in the classroom, we have several men and young men that work with our children, and so I've had a few in the past that they've been to large programs like the Y, and then they come down to the lower programs and like, well, I'm used to this level of care, but then it turns into something different. There's an increased agitation level in the classroom. I will say that. I've experienced that from a few of my past employees. Agitation, not wanting to engage with the children. Women, on the other hand, it's just kind of like, I'm on autopilot. I know I got to do this, but I'm gonna keep just chugging right along because I got to make sure that I hit clock these hours for the day and get through my shift. That's from, like I said, that's from my expertise of what I've seen in the classroom between men and women that experience burnout. Maybe you guys have seen something different.
Mm. And how have you seen like the women in your establishment or in our industry handle burnout?
It's a complete shutdown. It's not taking the correct notes for the children, not observing the behaviors that need to be observed, and writing those down for families to be able to have back in reference to. There's an increased rate of accidents and injuries that happen in the classroom. You may have missed little Johnny or Sally Sue over here trip over, the carpet, and when they come to pick up their child, then that stuff is not reported. There's an increased rate of child abuse and neglect that's overlooked. You got to think about the industry as a whole and what we're responsible for. In this field, this is a female dominated field. So again, you have a lot of women that work in this field. However, our job duties are essential. So there's a lot that goes overlooked, Joy. Like, yeah.
Wow. Yeah. Yeah. I mean, just reading up on this stuff and being a part of these conversations is really eye opening, because I think also we start to see, oh my goodness, that person was experiencing burnout. You ever read the symptoms of something, or read the symptoms or the behaviors that come along with certain diagnoses? And then it kind of triggers your mind like, oh my goodness, what if that staff person that I thought was just being lazy was really burnt out? And sometimes the burnout doesn't come specifically from the job, but it comes from a layered component of, I was stressed at home, I'm stressed in my finances. Now I've come to work, and this small stress has just made it like magnified. Do you see that, Ray Sean?
Sorry, everywhere. So it's like, oh my gosh, it's everywhere. It's everywhere. I mean, my even in my just in my surroundings, we've had a number of young people commit suicide.
Wow.
Um, my daughter, when my daughter was in high school, one of her classmates came to school and killed and attempted to kill herself. She later died. There was another one of her friend's little brother. He killed himself from from just the stress, anxiety. I had a mom who killed herself.
Oh my God.
Um, yeah, it's a lot. It's a lot going on, and for us as the um, the the providers of working with young children, it it's like a lot of times we carry a lot of that on us when you're dealing with that. So yeah, it's a lot right now.
Wow. And Todd, what about you? What do you think the differences or the symptoms are when you see a man being burnt out versus one of the females in your organization or in this
Well,
field?
and that's what I was going to say. It's kind of, I was going to basically say that, by us not having as many men in early childhood as we do in later areas, we still have a low number. If you really think about it across the board, but it's kind of hard to have a gauge on what are the signs for a man in child care. What is signs for burnout are. What I've come to the conclusion with is, those men that you are engaged with that do come to work, or that you do have working in your programs, they generally display stress, like, I hate to say this, but like most men do, and that is they just get quiet, and they don't voice their opinion. They kind of just let things occur. And
Mhm.
you get to when a man is honestly at that point, it's probably too late to try to recover whatever the issues may be. But now, in rare cases they will open up and begin to talk and tell you what the issues are, but society as a whole has to make it comfortable for men to express their thoughts, their feelings, because when a lot of the times when they do, they are oftentimes shut out and shut down, because the criticisms are heard in such a way that it like bites at the person or the group that's being criticized. So that's kind of my take on men stressors in childcare. Now, that's in general. Myself, what I do is I make sure that I overly communicate what the issues are. I I repeat things. I give reminders, etc. Because I do realize that as a man or as a human, no one knows what you're thinking. Until you express it, they really don't have a idea, a clue of what you're thinking and what the stresses and concerns are. Once I began to realize that I do have stress within this organization, it does affect my business life and my personal life. I had to come up with a balance, and for me, that balance is just taking some time to myself. Whether I come into the office, close the door, and don't answer the phone, or whether I say, "Hey, I'm gonna come in late today because I'm going to go play golf, go get a massage, or whatever those things are that I decide to do for my own sanity. I do so that I can be 100% for the organization when I'm present."
I love it. I love it. Okay, so let's say we have someone watching this video today. They're a childcare owner, they're an entrepreneur, they're a business owner. They know that their team is struggling with burnout. They know that there are some things that are going on. And let me just read, just for clarity. There were three major symptoms that came out under burnout. One, the number one was lack of motivation. The second one was lack of pleasure in your job. So even if you have your job, you're just not finding the pleasure that you need to really stay there. And then the last one was the lack of the belief in your ability to even do your job well. So if I am a leader, I'm a business owner, I'm an entrepreneur, and I am trying to help my staff, help my team to get the opposite of these symptoms. Because when you see a symptom in something, you want to kind of help fix that or achieve the opposite of it. So what do you guys think we could do in this industry as leaders to help our staff when it comes to a lack of motivation?
I got one, and it's pretty simple, and it's something that when I see my wife do it on a regular basis. She writes our staff notes, and she just leaves them in random places that particular staff person, like their area, but she'll leave it in a random place where she knows that person goes to and touches on a regular, on a pretty regular basis. So she'll come in the center and she'll leave notes and gifts and things throughout the center for the staff person. And the thing that I've noticed that makes it go over very well and makes people realize that this is not just something that she's doing as a blanket. She doesn't always do it for each staff at the same time, if that makes sense. She
Okay.
she breaks it up to where, okay, this particular staff person, I noticed this person did this last week. I'm going to leave a note for that person here.
Okay.
Um, that way, when the person discovers that note, they know that this wasn't something that she did, one, in the spur of the moment, and two, it wasn't something that she did to all the staff all at the same time. It's really, really individualized, and that places that individual attention, that motivation, that the staff people need in order to lift their spirits. And that's something that I notice that she does, and it's very, very, very effective. Doesn't cost any money. All it does is cost time and penmanship.
Wow. I like that. I like that. Who else has an idea or a suggestion? If you are experiencing your staff being lacking motivation, how would you encourage them or motivate them?
Sorry, I had to attend to somebody screaming in the background. Um, um, what I generally do is, like, it takes a lot of just making sure that you are attentive to their moods and things like that. I had a young lady not too long ago. She was I could tell that there was something affecting her because she just wasn't, she was here, she was present, but not present, if that makes sense. Like she was just here, just a body.
Mm-hmm.
So, in speaking with her and just letting her know that, okay, number one, I see that there's something going on with you. And, just letting her know that she can talk with me and it'll be, confidential, whatever the situation is. Um, Helping her to, I do a lot of, when it comes to those my staff members, I do a lot of making sure that they understand it's an open door policy with me. Whatever's going on with you, I need you to be able to communicate that with me. And if I have to bring in outside resources to help, then that's what I'm going to do. Um, so it's just a number of little things that you have to do. It depends on the case, each person, um, what they like. I'm very big on understanding love language. So I do put that into place. So if I have someone who they just need a hug, that's what we're going to do. If it's someone where I need to give them, time off to be alone, then that's what I got to do, what we have to do, because it's all about retaining our staff members, keeping them and making them feel a part of. For me, it's like we're family. We got to be able to support each other. So that's just a few of the things that I tend to do.
I love it.
Gotcha. So
One, one other, and as did you offer your words, Asia, yet?
not yet, but
I'm sorry. Go ahead, Asia.
so I was just gonna add on. So you guys know I'm a systematic person. I gotta have some stuff in place. So the first thing that we do is making sure that we have the EAP, which is the Employee Assistance Program, in place. Just making sure that, hey, when they need somebody to talk to, they have someone to talk to. If they come in, they're having a bad day, and I immediately realize that something is really off and it's beyond just having a bad day. I've been known to pull, employees into my office. Hey, let's sit down and talk about it. It looks like you're in crisis mode. It's being someone that has been there several times in the past. Hey, this is what I'm here to do. This is what I'm trying to do. This is how I can offer my support. So some people just need, an ear for somebody just to listen and say, hey, I just need somebody to just listen without criticism, without badgering me, without talking down to me, without having any judgment passed on them. So we have that in place. Another strategy we have in place is every employee that comes through the door, and it's on their application, they have to fill out what's called the 5 languages of the workplace. Before we will even, sign off on their application. Basically, it's what tells us, hey, how do they feel appreciated? Whether it's by, we're saying, saying words, we're writing things out. They tell you in the book to be kind of worry of personal touch, just because it is a workplace. So it just gives a few guidelines on how to navigate a person that has physical touch or words of affirmation. It gives you that. There's another book you guys already know about, which is the 5 love languages. So this one is specifically targeted for the workplace. What would be widely accepted for working with individuals, and knowing whether or not they feel appreciated, because not everybody's motivated by money. Some people are very motivated by just having time with their family. For a person to come in and not have time with their family, they can experience burnout. They can experience, okay, look, I get to spend all of this time with all of these children and other staff members, but I don't get to spend any personal time at home. And that can be daunting and overwhelming for a person to come in and say, hey, I really feel like this. Like, I give all my time to everybody else, but I can't give any time to my own family. Even as an owner, I've experienced that. I'm just like, am I, a good mom? Am I a good, wife? Or, majority of my time is spent in this seat. So, it's very important to be transparent with yourself, and be reflective on some of those things that we experience as well. Because again, I say it all the time, it starts from the top down. So they are going to imitate exactly what they see from the leaders that are in their workplace. So that's the tidbits that I have. Sorry.
Asia, you hit you when I say you hit the nail on the head with my next group of comments. You really hit the nail on the head. Now, this book that you referred to, Five Languages of the Workplace, is that book available on like Amazon or
It
uh,
it is. So the five language in the workplace is available on Amazon. There's a survey. All you have to do is search in Google five languages in the workplace survey. It's something quick, easy that you can have your employees fill out. And then you just score the survey, and it's gonna give you pretty much where that person lands, majority of the time. If they feel appreciated by time off, or if they feel appreciated by, a gift card, or some money. That everybody is different, their needs are different. But I also do want to say that it's important to do this on a regular basis. So just because you do it at the first part of somebody's employment, also circle back maybe about 6 months out, or every year. Just make this a regular thing to do for your employees, because things change.
right,
All of our lifestyles, lifestyle changes, our needs changes. As we grow older, we grow wiser,
right,
things change.
right?
Mm-hmm.
Those are some very valid points. You basically said that in addition to when you're doing these things with your employees, it's just like anything. There's maintenance of that relationship, and that maintenance requires some pretty regular check-ins with those individuals. So I think that's a very valid point. And in grooming workplace morale and nurturing a healthy workplace is that of checking in with your employees, your parents, your children, your customers, basically, just doing a pretty regular check-in. And when you're present, I think in this technological age, in this very, very technological age, um, there is something that we have to get back to, and that getting back to is before we had all this technology. How did we interact? Because if you listen to a lot of people's complaints about workplace and about how they interact, employee to employee, or company to company, a lot of it has to do with the deterioration of the time spent communicating with one another without the use of technology.
Mm-hmm.
At one point in time, text was you can send a text now, but imagine when you had to pick up the phone and call someone, and imagine what life was like when you had to stop where stop and go and visit that person. So sometimes in your business, those things that you had to do when we didn't have all this technology, you probably would be best served to implement it in your business, because it does give that personal touch that people need. Because some things can't be conveyed over a text message or email. Some things are best conveyed over dinner, walking through the park, or just going by and visiting someone on a sick day. My wife sends Instacarts to parents and to things to parents and workers when they're sick. Those kinds of things is just an amazing aspect, and something that you can do to maintain the camaraderie within your relationships, your business, and your relationships, period.
Yes, I love it. And then the other one was, what can we do to help people who lack the belief that they have the ability to complete their tasks? So This one says this is pretty much a sense of I'm sorry, I lost my train of thought.
That's fine. I
Oh.
think I think the question, the way you pose is good enough. You know, from what I, because what you stated is important, and that is lack of belief.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, Lack of belief a lot of the times, and lack of experience, lack of training. So we have a training model. It's 3 steps. I do, we do, you do.
Mm-hmm.
And when you implement that training model into your business, it's going to be very, very difficult for an individual to say they don't have the confidence and belief in that they can do something. Because one, the first step is that I do. That's that nurturing. I'm sorry. That's that observation aspect of how people learn. You're going to observe what I do. Then
Mm-hmm.
the second part is going to be a participatory aspect of it. We're going to do this thing together.
That's
And
right.
then you're going to do it on your own. And it's just like training wheels on a bicycle. When when those individuals, they're going to fall, they're going to scrape their knees, they're going to do all this stuff. When the training wheels are on, and it's also going to happen when the training wheels are off. But if they know that, hey, I can get back on this bicycle, this business path, this training mechanism, or this training platform, I failed it one time, but that is a part of life. You're going to fail, because if you went throughout life being successful at everything, you would just be probably a horrible person, to be quite honest. But if you go in and you have some failures or some lessons, I don't look at them as failures. They're lessons. If you're going in and you're having some lessons, those things are going to make you a better person, hopefully. um, whatever business that you're a part of.
Mm-hmm. That's
Um,
good.
Anybody else?
Well, I'll say for our team, the one thing that I love about our team is that we have a system in place where whenever we are leading a team meeting, we give other people on the team an opportunity to lead. And I think sometimes when they see that they have the capability of leading a group or being in charge of something, it gives them more ownership. And so I remember one of my lead teachers who had become my assistant director at one of our sites, she was the person in charge of conducting the staff meeting that month. And afterwards, she sent me a text message like, oh my goodness, I can't believe they responded to me the way they did. I followed the agenda. I did and when we do our agenda as a team, we talk about what the topic is, but then anybody who is leading this meeting, this is how it has to start off. It has to start off with an icebreaker. It has to start off with highs and lows, was where we just go around and talk about our highs and lows for the month. And it has to start off with some type of camaraderie or, building, not like lecturing. I don't care what the topic is. We're going to build upon this and really all have input. And so to have her to be so excited that her teammates responded to her, they encouraged her, they appreciated the icebreaker, they had fun, they were engaged. She felt that sense of ownership. She felt that sense of, wow, I really can do this. And just from her being so excited, sending me her proof of the meeting, her sign-in sheet, her agenda and everything. Like Miss Joya went, and I wasn't there that day. She's like, Miss Joya went so well. They were so engaged. They really had a good time. And we even do a ticket out the door. The ticket out the door is just some type of assessment that we quickly give that says, hey, I got what I was supposed to get from this meeting. This is what my takeaways were. And so I love those type of moments, because I feel like even people who are not as motivated on the job, if you give them something to do, it's almost like the bad kid in class. And I say that with quotations. I don't like using that terminology, the bad kid. But you've ever been told, tell the bad kid to do this task. Here, you want to be my helper today? They perk up. They feel so motivated. They feel so like, yes, I got ownership. I'm Miss Joy's helper today. And they don't know in their minds sometimes. We only giving y'all this task because we so tired of telling you to sit down and stop. but it works. They really enjoy they really enjoy it. So I think for my team, I love getting them motivated and teaching them, no, you can succeed, you will succeed, and I'm going to help you succeed.
I I love that. I absolutely love that. So time's winding down, and I wanted to make sure that we were able to share something that was submitted to us from one of our viewers.
Ooh.
It looks like we have a submission regarding a poem that is near and dear to one of our viewers today, and we're going to share that. It's called "Don't Quit" by Edgar A. Guest. So I would like to read that. I'm going to put that up on the screen for you guys. But before I do, I just want to say that today. Sharing that video through YouTube with that young lady, it was an amazing accomplishment that she had. One of the huge takeaways that she had told that she said it's okay not to be okay. And the biggest piece to take from that is that we must keep the communication flowing. And also, again, as our executive director said, make sure that we're doing the maintenance on these relationships, whether there are lower level staff or high level staff in our personal lives. Make sure that we're doing the work that it takes. We got to get back to some of these basics. So before we close out, I'll go ahead and share that poem. Did any of our board need to share anything else before closing out?
I think we had an announcement about our community meeting.
Oh, there we go. Let's go. I thought you were going to jump right in.
Let me rephrase that. I thought our secretary had an announcement about our upcoming community meeting. Is it June 1st? No.
It is June the 1st.
Is it June 1st?
It is June 1st.
Thursday, June the 1st, for our members, who have joined the NCOA. We will have a private Zoom group for them where we'll be discussing
our strategies in detail, the strategies that we had talked about in detail. It's a 1 hour meeting. You guys can take advantage of that by becoming a member of the NCOA. We would love for you guys to add to the conversation, and we will see you guys on that Thursday, I believe at 7 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. You will get an email invite letting you know, hey, to join. You also get a text reminder as well. So that's our first monthly membership meeting that will be kicking off on June the 1st at 7 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. So without further ado, I'm going to put this poem up. Our board members can any sign offs that we got. All right. So let's see here. So it says, when things go wrong, as they sometimes will, when the road you're trudging seems all uphill, when the funds are low and debt is high, and we want to smile but have to sigh, when care is pressing you down a bit, rest if you must, but don't you quit. Life is square with its twists and turns, as every one of us sometimes learns, and many a failure turns about when he might have won if he struck it out. But don't give up. The pace seems slow. You might succeed with another blow. Unfortunately, the rest of it didn't come across the screen.
Don't quit. That's right.
Don't quit. So if you want to see this poem in full, again, just search Edgar A. Guest. It was submitted by one of our viewers, Sean Sullivan. So thank you for submitting that. I know it will rest near and dear to some of our other viewers. And without further ado, everyone for joining us on this National Childcare Association's Childcare Chats. And we will see you guys soon on next month's topic for celebrating men in childcare. Have a great day.
Have a good one.
Bye.